Hello, finance class. Wow. I was staring at the camera for a split second there because the other recording software has a countdown. It goes 3, 2, 1. This one doesn't. Also, my brain is a little tired. Just finished online class with the sixth graders. Uh, yeah, I'm tired. They are high energy. Probably shouldn't have microphones. And excited to see each other. Now, some of you may be future classes watching this video, and you might think, "Hey, I was a sixth grader during the coronavirus, and I remember doing online class with Mr. Claiborne." Yeah, I'm talking about you. Yep, you just got burned. Mr. Claiborne's burns are so good they reach through time and space. I have burned you in the future from here in the past. All right. Anyways, let's get on to the lesson. So we're starting chapter 10 today. Page 208. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's the wrong page. Well, that's the beginning of the chapter. We're looking on page 210 because we want to see those key terms. So, key terms that are going to matter for this chapter as far as the test goes. You definitely need to know the word accountability. That's the quality or state of being responsible, liable, or answerable. You need to understand what a free spirit is, specifically for a personality type as far as how people naturally approach their money. So free spirit, it's a person who thinks that everything will work out fine and typically hates to deal with the details. Side note, fun fact you'd want to know for your test, free spirit people aren't natural savers. They naturally do not save. And it doesn't mean that none of them do. It's rare. Something you should know for your test. Nerd, that's an insult commonly used by Mr. Claiborne. Time poverty. So nerd, that's not going to matter too much for the test. It's something that Dave Ramsey uses and certain math teachers use to make people pay attention. Time poverty, that is a test valuable word. So time poverty is a situation in which a person is lacking time, leading to stress. So if you ever just have a lot of stuff to do and you realize, I don't have enough time to finish all of that, that's time poverty. Value system, that's a person's priorities, beliefs, and standards that affect how he or she views the world. So the value system is very, very important. That is a key term you need to know. It's also very important when it comes to how you run your family as you become an adult. All right, without further ado, let's get started on Chapter 10. This video 1.1 picks up on page 212. So, understanding your money personality. And as you can see from the video title, the chapter is Money and Relationships.
In this lesson, we are going to be talking about relating with money. Free spirits and nerds unite. Open up your workbooks to that lesson and get ready. As you're doing that, I want to tell you an old story. I'm sure it's not true, but it's funny and it makes my point, so I'm going to use it anyway. There's a story that's told of George Bush Sr., and probably the best first lady that we've ever had, his wife Barbara. And they were campaigning their way across Texas in one of the presidential campaigns, and of course that's their home state, so they knew everybody. And the presidential limo with the SUVs and the whole bit pulls up to a gas station because it's running out of gas. And so the gas station attendant sees all of this, and he runs outside. And of course, you and I don't get this service, but he runs outside and he starts pumping gas because he wants to say he's pumped the gas in the presidential limo. Well, Barbara looks up and recognizes the guy, jumps out of the car, runs around the car, gives him a big hug. They stand back there, yak it up for a little while. And she gets back in the car in a few minutes, and George says, "Who was that?" And she said, well, that was my old boyfriend in high school. And George gets this big grin on his face, and he said, now let me get this straight. You are married to the most powerful man in the world, the president of the leading economic force in the world, the United States of America. You could have married him, and then you'd be the wife of a gas station attendant. And she said, oh, George, don't be silly. If I had married him, he'd be president. Let me introduce you to my wife, Sharon Ramsey. As you can see, I'm an excellent salesman. But Sharon and I have an agreement. She has agreed to stay married to me if I don't ask her to do public speaking. So she gets to come out here and just say hi this way and get to meet you guys, but I wanted you to see the reason for my success. Thanks. When we're dealing with money in relationships, when we're dealing with money in our personal life, dealing with money in our families, the flow of...
There's the right button. Found it. Okay. Before I let him continue talking about how we deal with money as far as relationships, there's something very important to see here. And you might not get it. It's a little weird way to start off a finance video. Some of you are wondering, why in the world is he telling jokes about presidents I don't know about? Why did he bring his wife on stage? What he's trying to demonstrate is the relationship that him and his wife have. Okay. You can tell by that very short interaction that his wife does not like being in public. She probably doesn't like being in crowds, but she was willing to go out there and stand in front of a crowd so he can make a point. And he is also smart enough to respect his wife to not make her speak or ask her questions or put her on the spot too much. So what you see there is they're both kind of compromising the way that they would do things had they been on their own for the way that they do things together. That's a very important lesson to learn when it comes to relationships. As you get older and you get married, especially as it comes to dealing with money, but in all things in marriage, you have a way of doing things. Especially after you become an adult, you're going to have a certain system or a value system on how you like to get things done as an individual. And that's highly going to be based on how your parents ran your family now. So the way your parents run your family now is going to strongly determine how you decide to run your life in the future. Now, it could be that your parents did an amazing job and you want to emulate that. Or it could be that, you think, oh, I think my parents could have done this better, and you want to do something different. Or it could be that your parents did an amazing job and you think they could have done better, so you're going to do something different anyway. But the point is, how your parents run your household now is largely how adults create their own value system on how they want to get things done. Now, the problem is when you get married, two different people rarely have the same family lifestyles and rarely have the same value system. So you have to make compromises. Now, not bad compromises, but you have to start compromising things that don't matter as much, like how you get things done. So that's kind of the important thing that he's trying to show here. He values his wife, she values him, and they both are coming together to create a singular value system that comes from two different families and two different brains and two different people and two very different ways of doing things. That's not an easy thing to accomplish. But if you get it right, works out really well. Okay, let's go ahead and pick back up with the video and find out about some monies and relationships.
When we're dealing with money in relationships, when we're dealing with money in our personal lives, when we're dealing with money in our families, the flow of money in a family represents the value system under which that family operates. Larry Burkett used to say it's kind of the checkbook autobiography. Back in the days when we used to keep a checkbook, or if you keep it on Quicken or something, if you look at your checkbook register, where your money goes tells us what's important to you, tells you what's important to you. And men and women are different in how we process this stuff. We're different in how we process everything, and money is no exception to that statement. Gary Smalley says men love to share facts. Women love to share feelings. Men connect by doing things. Guys go hunting together. We do things together. We work on the car together. We do whatever. We do things together. Women connect by talking. Guys can hang out all day. My son and I drove 2.5 hours after a football game home and didn't say a word, and we were perfectly okay with that. Women would have thought that was psychotic. We operate differently. We're perfectly okay with these differences too. Dennis Rainey, who is a Christian family counselor, marriage counselor, has a wonderful radio show. He says that women and men have a different verbal level. Men speak 30 to 50,000 words a day. Women speak somewhere from 50 to 70,000 words a day, with gusts up to 125,000. We are different. Gary Smalley says men tend to be controlling. Women tend to remain agreeable. Women would say amen. Men tend to be independent. Women tend to be interdependent. Another great thing to read if you've ever gotten married or ever thought about getting married is John Gray's book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And he talks about the differences of men and women. He says, men define ourselves by our ability to achieve results, where women, on the other hand, tend to define themselves by the quality of their relationships. And all these differences come up big time in the way we handle money and the way we interact. And so we've got to take this into consideration if we want to have financial peace. Two words that don't go together. When it comes to the emergency fund, men say it's boring, it's not sophisticated enough. I could do something better with that $10,000 or $15,000, which is a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. I could invest that in a good mutual fund or something, but Dave says just to put it in a money market account and it not make much money. That's boring, it's not sophisticated enough. Women, on the other hand, say it's the most important key to our financial plan. It's the most important key to our financial plan. I need all the men in the room to stand up, please. All the men to stand up, please. Thank you, men. Now, guys, if you're married or you ever hope to be, listen to me really carefully for a minute. I don't know if you know this or not, but as we've been discussing, men and women are different. And that's a good thing. And they're different in how we look at this emergency fund thing. So guys, what I got to get you to understand right now is somewhere right down in here, your lady has a gland that you don't have. It's called the security gland. And if she is feeling insecure because of the money situation, that gland spasms. And it is attached to her face. So an emergency fund is actually an investment in a pretty wife. Her face relaxes because her security gland relaxes. When you have $10,000 or $15,000 in the bank and you know that you're not going to touch it, and she knows that you're not going to touch it, you don't even touch the emergency fund for emergencies. It allows her to relax in a place you don't even have. Am I right, ladies? So the message, guys, is you don't have to get it. You just got to get it. You need to do that emergency fund, and it's an investment in your marriage.
Right now, you're young and single, and you might think that understanding how men and women approach money won't matter until you're older and married. But the truth is, if you can understand how men and women approach money now, it will ultimately help you in your family relationships, friendships, and hey, even your dating relationships. Money is one of the biggest issues that married couples fight about. That's because most people aren't taught how to get on the same page with their spouse when it comes to money. If you learn this stuff now, you'll be set up to win in all of your relationships.
When it comes to going shopping, men get good deals by negotiating. I can go in, I want those deals. I want to go out there and I'm just going to walk through the electronics store, the furniture store, and I'm going to kill everybody in the store until I get a good deal. I don't have to go shopping. I'm just going to drop an atom bomb on that one place. I'm going in there, I'm going to go, I want a deal, right? And I'm going to use all my techniques, and I'm going to get in people's face. I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to negotiate. I'm going to get a deal. We get good deals by, a lot of times, just straight old-fashioned confrontation, where ladies tend to get good deals by hunting and hunting and hunting and hunting and hunting and hunting. And they forgot what they were looking for, but they're still hunting. You know, we went to a marriage conference a long time ago, and the guy did a really good job, and He did have one suggestion, though, that was honestly, it was just stupid. He said, if you want to have some real intimacy with your wife and really have some high-quality communication, go shopping with her, guys. This is not a smart man. He is not a smart man. I mean, you think about it. I'm up here for 5 or 6 hours. It doesn't bother me a bit. My feet don't hurt. I can go all day. I've got plenty of energy. I get out of the car, walk into the mall, my feet hurt to my neck. I mean, what's up with that? I don't understand how that works, but that's how it works, isn't it? And Smalley talks about this. He says, here's how a shopping trip looks like for most people. You know, we get out of the car, and we go to this mall together, or we're going somewhere. We're going to go get something together, right? And the guy gets out of the car and says, identify the target. You know, we're going to get our handheld GPS and map out the quickest way to the store. And we're going to go straight to the store with the best deal, having searched on the web while we're on our way for efficiency. And we get in there, we get the best deal, we analyze which line is going the fastest, and in the cash register, we get in line, we go through the most efficient line, we're back to the car, let's time it, go, click. Identify the target. And the lady goes, whoa, you just don't get this, do you? See, we're supposed to enjoy this process. It's not just about the task, it's the process. We have to go in every store. We have to touch everything in every store. We have to try a whole lot of it on, buy most of it, discuss the checkout girl's family problems with her as we're going out, and then tomorrow we're going to bring most of it back.
Okay, so the last 5 minutes, Dave Ramsey's he's ranting what girls are usually like, what guys are usually like. This is usually where he gets most of his criticism from this course, because people go, oh, Dave Ramsey's sexist. He's saying all women have to be like this, all men have to be like this. Not what he's saying. He's giving you some stereotypes that are general rules that pretty much work across the board. Now, let's talk about the shopping one he just talked about. Men want to go in, get what they want to get, go to the quickest line, get out of the store as fast as possible, whereas women like to browse and shop, right? So, remember how earlier I was saying the values that you take into being a single adult are going to be largely based on how your family was run as you were growing up. So I'm going to apply that to the shopping rule that Dave just gave and me. So I grew up with 2 older sisters, a mom, and no brothers. My dad worked, I think when I was a kid, I think he worked two jobs at a time almost all the time. So my dad was working a lot, not home very often on the weekends. But guess what my mom and my sisters loved doing on the weekends? They loved going to the mall. I hated this as a child. My mom, my sisters, they'd go to the mall, they'd go look at clothes stores, and they would spend an entire Saturday at the mall just going from clothes store to clothes store, doing exactly what he described, trying on everything, buying some things, and then going and returning it the next weekend. I was also the youngest child too, so I don't know, I was probably a boy from like age, I would say maybe from like 8 to 12, or maybe 8 to 13. I think that's around the time that I was allowed to stay home. So from about 8 to 13, I was doomed to spend countless Saturdays sitting in the mall at JCPenney, Forever 21. What are the others? Clothes stores. The Charlotte Russe. I still remember the name of the clothes stores because I hated them with a passion, right? I learned the name of my enemies. My enemies were JCPenney, Charlotte Russe. There's this store called Mervyn's that doesn't exist anymore. All huge clothing stores or small clothing stores. And my sisters and my mom would just spend hours, and I would sit on the lonely couch next to the waiting room, staring at the wall, staring at the racks, thinking about how terrible this was and how annoying it was for them to look at everything. And I grew to hate shopping. Now, we fast forward to me being an adult, and as me and my wife meet and we start courting, and as we get married and we go on shopping trips, my wife notices something very interesting that she finds very annoying about me. When I go through stores, I will go in for specific items. But on my way to the specific items, I'll see a section and I'll think, I want to see what's in the garden section right now. And then I will divert the whole family to the garden section. We'll walk through every single aisle and I'll look at everything. And then I'll buy nothing because I'm a guy. And then we'll get exactly what we needed. And then I'll rush her to the register. And then on the way to the register, we'll stop and I'll say, oh, hey, let's look at the kids' clothes aisle. The boys need new pants, I think. Let's look, and then we'll look through every single aisle at the kids section, nice and slowly. And then when we're done with that, I'll rush the whole family to the register. We'll go to the fastest checkout, and then I'll rush us to the car and leave. It's really interesting because my wife has noticed this, and it bothers her because she goes, you rush us, and then you waste time, and then you rush us. And the only thing I can figure is that comes from weekends with my sisters at the mall, my sisters and my mom at the mall, spending hours going through every single item in the clothes rack. And so that value system got ingrained in me, even though I spent the entire time hating it. I have probably the oddest shopping habits out of anyone. I meander, I grab exactly what I need, and then I leave. Or I'll grab exactly what I need, meander, and then leave. So these stereotypes, these generalizations, they're meant to give you an idea of what you're probably going to be like. He's not saying everyone is like this, okay? But that's why I bring up the point that how your family is run now, that's most likely how you're going to end up as an adult, what your value system is going to be based on anyway. So just some interesting things to point out, and then things to remember as you start planning money and relationships.
So Sharon and I figured this deal out. We're not going to try to swim upstream, okay? We know that we're not going shopping together and have a good marriage. That's not going to happen. But we have figured out she's really good at hunting. She'll go through Consumer Reports. She'll search on the web and look at eBay, and she'll go find the best deal over here and the best sale over there. And then I'm really good at negotiating, so much so that when we go out, she's kind of a sweet, Southern Belle little lady. And she doesn't like to be embarrassed. And we go in some of these stores with me with my $100 bills out, and she goes, "You embarrass me." I'm going, yeah, well, that's just one of the side benefits of this negotiating thing. So we just don't even try all of that. What we figured out is she hunts it down, then I go kill it. So we're going to work with these opposites thing and make it work. When it comes to financial problems, we see the difference in men and women. When we're struggling financially, if you're hurting and you're stressed out, you're behind on the bills, the guys lose self-esteem. Men lose self-esteem because money represents a scorecard to men. So ladies, listen carefully. If you're in here and you're married or you're in a marriage situation and you're struggling financially, your guy does not feel like Sir Galahad right now. His sword is a little rusty. He has some moss on his armor. And the last thing he needs in the middle of that is a barking chihuahua around his ankles. My mama said, he may find one last use for that sword. Guys, you need to look at this. When you're in financial trouble, women face fear. Sharon made us change it. She said the word is terror. Because money with ladies, as we said, represents security. There's that security gland. So if you're in here and you're struggling financially, don't let the stress of those financial things take your marriage.
Okay, so money and relationships, really important topic. That's all I'm going to leave you guys for this video. We're already at about 23 minutes. And that's it for 10.1. We'll be picking up in the next video on page 214.